Hey everyone, welcome back to Satanix Reviews. This review will be once again handled a little differently than usual. I'll treat it like a game review, but this will be the first time in any of these reviews I leave myself open for further discussion of the franchise. I'll be doing the same with Ace Attorney, but this is a game series where I can't just simply discuss all the pros and cons in one game. Either way, let me give you a little history of the Mega Man series. The original started on the NES back in 1987. Nowadays, this game may be a bit clunky, but it holds a place in history due to quite a few factors. You were able to steal abilities from several bosses in the games, as well as be able to beat them in any order you wanted. Capcom fixed this when they improved most of their flaws in the sequel, Mega Man 2. After this, the series just kept on going, and it possibly had the highest number of sequels on any console, a total of 6 games. Unfortunately, however, both Mega Man 5 and 6 started to show that the series was running low on fumes. The Super Nintendo was on its way, so Capcom had to make something new for the series. The original timeline was already fulfilled with Dr. Wily's arrest, so they took it to the future with Mega Man X. Everyone, including myself, actually mistook this for Mega Man 10, which actually did happen at some point. Whatever the case, this was a completely different game. The tone goes for more of a futuristic side, giving almost a bit of a cyberpunk feel. I mean, the futuristic look, the advanced technology and weapons, the rogue robots, and machines trying to take over the world make it feel like Blade Runner or the Terminator franchise. To put this in perspective, I tried the first 3 Mega Man games, finding them already fun, but then I tried this game out, only to be blown away by not only the look of this game, but also the sound capability. God damn! This game's soundtrack is too good for an over 30-year-old game. The story also feels a lot more darker and grittier. It wasn't just about a mad scientist trying to take over the world. This time, it's a dastardly machine that went rogue and betrayed his own kind. He's taken over this city, and you lead the rebellion to claim back what's rightfully yours. It isn't just a cartoony world that's all nice and peaceful. It's an all-out war against evil. This first opening stage basically showcases the dystopian setting. The roads destroyed and machines attacking and firing with all their might. When I made it to the end of this level, I was shocked to find I couldn't defeat the boss, Vile. Fortunately, this led to the introduction of the ultimate badass of the series, Zero. This guy obliterates the arm of Vile's mech and chases him off without even having to do much. This scene is indeed to show that X is still in his training, giving a more fleshed out reason for gaining the abilities from the bosses he faces. X wants to become stronger so that he has a fighting chance against Sigma. Instead of robot masters, we have mavericks. Mavericks is the term that's used for the criminals in this series, while Reploids are the good robots. However, any Reploid can turn maverick at will, giving these games more of an edge. In fact, it's canon that Storm Eagle and Chill Penguin know X and Zero because they worked with them and have betrayed them to join Sigma's cause. This honestly would have made for a great TV series with a recurring plot similar to what Avatar The Last Airbender did, but the beauty of this game is that you can still appreciate the storytelling aspect while playing a really fun game. Once again, you can fight the Mavericks in any order you want. Every single Maverick has a weakness, so you have to figure out which abilities work on what boss. That's not all the abilities are capable of, though, because you can use them on stages to uncover items such as heart tanks to increase your health, armor upgrades, and sub-tanks. In fact, some stages actually change depending upon which stages you've completed before then. The best part about this game, however, is the control. This game is so simple and effective to control. Any stiffness from the other Mega Man games on the NES had been completely removed for this installment. Jumping, moving, and sliding are perfectly responsive. You also get a charge shot like in Mega Man 4 through 6. This allows you to either rapid fire or hold down on it until you're ready to blast your enemy. This game gets so insane from its enemy placements to its level designs to its boss fights, but the challenge is fair. Not once do I feel like this game is unfair. Any mistakes I make that leads me to losing a life, I completely acknowledge is due to my mistakes. The control is so good that it feels rewarding to complete the game's hardest segments. You feel like you're in control of Mega Man X. The stages are well designed and they all feel very unique. Once again, I have to tip my hat to Capcom for giving us something so well made. And now comes the part where I talk about the negatives of the game. Um, there's a weird enemy design here and there, I guess. Uh, some of the bosses take a while to defeat, and yeah, I've got nothing. It's pretty hard to find legitimate complaints for this game, but I can find a few things. First of all, dashing, which replaces the sliding, cannot be obtained until you reach Chill Penguin stage. It's mandatory to get, and honestly, thank God it is, because it's harder to do these boss fights without the dash function. This should be fixed in all the sequels, and you can get it right away after the intro stage of this game, but it's still something you need to wait for. Sting Chameleon has a weird attack pattern where he causes spikes to fall from the ceiling, and there's no indication where they'll spawn because they go so quickly. Then there's those flying enemies that laugh at you whenever you get hit by them, and they show up during the first Sigma Fortress stage to screw you over. And don't get me started on the spider boss. You know those puzzles with the connecting lines, and you have to guess where it's going to end up from the top to the bottom? Yeah, imagine that repeatedly. That's about it for complaints, though, and you know what? I don't even think of these problems whenever I play it. It has such a high replay value for me, and elements such as the music and the high adrenaline the game gives me always brings me back. This is just one of those games that makes me go, hell yeah! But most importantly, this is a game all about development and evolution. I'm always reminded of how complex the storytelling is for something like a video game whenever I play this. X's journey goes through a whole lot, including betrayal, revenge, war, sacrifice, rebellion, courage, endurance, loss, and even self-question. The final scene of X watching Sigma's headquarters fall while also wondering if this war against the Mavericks will ever end, shows that he's willing to fight for humanity simply due to his promise for his creator, Dr. Light, to use his power for good. Even the opening of the game states how awakening him was considered a risky move. So, you're all the more thankful when he does do the right thing. It's funny because I've never seen this side of X in any future installment. It's just like how Phoenix Wright had nowhere else to go after the first two Ace Attorney games. He just accepted and acknowledged there are other characters to get invested in. After this game, we'd get even more sequels leading all the way up to Mega Man X8, but the best one will always be the original to me. There's never been a game like this one, and I don't think anyone can recreate it, even Capcom themselves. X2 made the dash function permanent, but it ultimately became more difficult than the first one and just didn't feel as fresh despite some strong moments. X3 was the perfect example of so close yet so far, being even harder than X2 despite having just as an awesome of soundtrack as the first game. X4 had the best story since the first game, but when playing as Zero, it's so much better than X because X just isn't nearly as fun to play as. X5 would have been significant had it been the true final X title, but fans flipped out and Capcom rushed out X6, which really did feel like a rushed game production. X7 is still considered to be the worst of these games, as well as one of the worst games ever made, but I still found some enjoyment in it, both ironically and unironically. X8 is easily my least favorite in terms of writing, but I understand why some would enjoy it much more than I did. I'll discuss those 7 games another time, but I'm still talking about this game for now. So, what is it about this game that makes me feel like no other developer can achieve it again? Could it be the look, the gameplay, the nostalgia, the feel, the themes, the music, all of the above? Well, I do agree all of the above, but perhaps there's something more to it than that. I can understand if no one wouldn't see what I'm talking about, but for those who do love it, you know what I'm getting at. It's a game that feels very special and important. It's a platformer that defines platformers. I know technically it's not as well known as the Mario games, but I argue that it might as well be just as influential due to how well it controls and plays. I noticed such subtle details in the game's gameplay and graphics, and the music just makes you feel every bit of emotion. Next time I discuss this franchise, it'll be me talking about X2 and X3, but I've still got other things to review before then. Either way, I'm giving this game a solid 10 out of 10. It's easily among my top 10 favorite video games of all time for a reason. Hope these high ratings aren't getting too repetitive for you folks, but I really do love talking about these games, and even the movies I've talked about as well. Either way, see you all next time. Till then, everyone.